What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we are going to be talking about SoFi. I got Riley from Focusnotice, a big part of the SoFi community. I'm going to put his link in the description below, so make sure you pop over there, follow him as well on Twitter. But we are going to be talking about a lot of good things for SoFi, a lot of good catalysts, and a lot of things that investors really need to know that as far as what's upcoming, things that are going to affect the stock, benefit them, or possibly hurt them, depending on how you see that. We're going to be talking about it all. So Riley, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It's been great last time, so I'm excited to talk about more about SoFi.
Cool. Yeah, last time you were on, we talked about a lot of big things that was coming out, more so the Twitter feed, extended hours. There's a lot of, and also options activity as well. And it's interesting that the fact that last time you were on, especially more so on their last earnings, they did conveniently bring up a lot of those things about the options activity and extended hours. So you That's were true. Definitely, I think, are the person to go to for the SoFi news before it even comes out. So make sure you guys pop over there and follow him, because he's on point when it comes down to that. So getting right to it though, what's your take on SoFi? What's big things coming down the pipeline?
Well, before my first take, I do want to say most of the stuff I steal from is from 𝗪𝗓𝗓 on Reddit. And this dude has been talking about SoFi like all the way back to 2019. So just the best spot for SoFi is 𝗪𝗓𝗓 on Reddit, and I steal everything I can. But for SoFi, I think SoFi is having a breath of air. People a week ago were scared to death that it was going to go under $5 and everybody was going to invest out of it. But the opposite happened. Everybody just started loading up the boat. And while everything else is red this week, SoFi is green. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I've done a couple of videos, and yeah, it's a nice. It was nice to say, like even today, it's like, yeah, they're green, and every broader markets like Nasdaq was almost down 5%. Like it's good, and we're holding on fairly strong. I think it's helping all the analyst upgrades. Even though they're essentially downgrading their price targets, they're still giving $10, like $9, 50 cent, like those pretty good price targets. And it's funny to see all the 13Fs, like all the average prices of all those institutions are like 15 plus. So it's like, it's coming, it's bouncing back, and market's finally realizing.
Yeah, this is either the bottom or close to the bottom, or we haven't gotten even like I don't know, maybe in a couple months we'll just be like completely destroyed. No idea, but
I love that. Just complete all over the place. It could be completely $1. It could be like 50. It could be anything. I love that.
I mean, just depending on where you're getting your news from, it's either the world is about to end or it's nothing, not a big deal. But I try to keep my head in the sand and not listen to the news, and it's fared me pretty well because I haven't been worrying on the way down, just trying to buy as much as I possibly can because they're great companies. SoFi is a fantastic company. It used to just be a loan company in 2019, and then all of a sudden it said, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna release 5 ETFs out of nowhere. I thought that was crazy when I saw this student loan company release 5 ETFs and then also a banking product, an investment product, all in one app within a year, and then like 2 years later, student loans completely gets cut from their revenue, and they're still fine and growing like fire. I don't know. I think this is an opportunity, and I don't know. What do you think?
No, I completely agree with you. Actually, I was going to bounce a question back to you. So as far as you mentioned about investing, so as far as on their investing platform, what upgrades are you seeing happening? Like you already mentioned about the options activity, extended hours. What else is coming down the pipeline for investors to kind of watch for?
So yeah, so the coolest thing about SoFi right now, to me anyways, is portfolio investing. If you know anything about Robinhood and the way that Robinhood conducts their business, they gamify trading stocks to a point where they're not helping people get their money right. In fact, whenever you lose 1 penny on your portfolio in one day, your entire screen turns red. And that is to elicit an emotional reaction so you sell. Because the more trades Robinhood gets, the more money they make from their users. So Robinhood is incentivized when you trade often, which is not necessarily a good thing. Warren Buffett usually says, if you had a punch card with only 6 punch holes left and you can only pick 6 stocks in your entire life, how would you invest differently? And that's basically his mindset on how to trade stocks. And I think in the long term, that will get your money right. So I've always been nervous about SoFi and how they're going to implement investing and invest product on their line, because if they follow Robinhood's path of profiting off of trades, which SoFi can easily do, they can gamify it and make a lot of money off of their users. But what it looks like they're doing right now, and this is all Bender 9000 from Reddit, he went into the code and he found out that there is a possibility they're going to be adding portfolio investing. And from what most people think is, it looks a little bit like M1 Invest, where you have a pie and you put your money into it and it automatically invests it in percentages. So if I want 50% Apple and 50% Microsoft, if Apple goes up one day and Microsoft goes down the other day, it will automatically buy the dip more into Microsoft to even out the balance. So in the long term, it would help people get their money right and help them by investing when the stock goes down, cutting out the fear and just automating everything, which I think is amazing. Because if SoFi is going to be a company that I hold, it has to follow strictly with its mission of helping people get their money right. Mission-driven companies change the world, and that's Tesla. Like, everybody knows that they want to save the planet and go to another planet, and their mission statement is very simple and it drives a lot of success. So I'm really happy if they continue with the portfolio investing idea.
Yeah, like that's exciting. And I know, generally speaking, none of the brokers I have that option. So seeing that would be very, very good. And obviously, SoFi, you just need to come to Canada as well. But actually, I saw something that you posted. So what about obviously Singapore?
I started following Singapore about a year ago, the SoFi Singapore. So right when SoFi released SoFi Hong Kong, they also bought a company in Singapore. And what SoFi does is they buy a company, rebrand it in that other foreign country, and then they set up like their own thing. I'm not sure what they're trying to do though, because they have SoFi Hong Kong. And from what we know of SoFi Hong Kong, it's not that good of a product. There's a lot of fees. We don't know really what SoFi is doing. Possibly they are beta testing their social media platform, seeing what works. Because if you have a social media platform and it's all investing, right? And let's say you make some awful trades one year and you just completely like have the worst portfolio ever. SoFi doesn't want to make you or de-incentivize you from being on their social media platform. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting that they're beta testing a social media platform, which they already are. Like last year, they already released an entire upgrade where it's all social investing and there's like graphs and charts and you compare your trades and portfolios with other people and see all this stuff. So that's what my guess is. SoFi Hong Kong is just a front to beta test their social media platform before they move it over to the US. Because, you know, US investors, don't forget, you make one mistake like Robinhood and you're just out.
Do you ever think it's more of a deeper thing that they're trying to get like a foothold into Asia? Because I know a lot of North American banks, they have their main fundamental business in North America, but yet they have their investment second kind of subsection to in Asia. Like I know Scotiabank does that.
I think you might be right. I'm honestly just so focused on SoFi that I'm always thinking of like, what is their real plan, you know? But honestly, it makes sense. Hong Kong has like insanely low taxes. It's easy to start a company there. Why wouldn't they? It's smart for SoFi to open up an investment platform there. But a lot of people just don't get it. Like, why are you releasing in Singapore? Canada's right above us. They have people like, why Singapore individually?
Come here. Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. It's interesting, but they're going to be releasing an investment product in Singapore. I don't know what what's going to happen in the next 5 years. What direction are they aiming for? What's their mission? What's their like business strategy? That excites me. I want to know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of innovative companies such as SoFi, like it does drive excitement. Everyone wants to know what the next big thing is. Like clearly, they made a lot of big acquisitions, bringing clearly a lot of agreements, even with Mastercard as well, with 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧.
Mhm.
There's a lot of big things coming down the pipeline, so it's kind of keeps investors on their toes to some degrees. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're so right when you say that everybody wants to see what the next big thing is, because 10 years ago, or let's say 15 years ago, if I went to people back in time and said, hey, Tesla, this electric car company is going to change the world, dude, people would give you all of these arguments. No, there's not chargers around. No, there's this. Batteries die. They lose their energy over time. Like there's so many arguments, and look where we are. It's changing the world. There's so many great arguments that somebody could have gave me 15 years ago on Tesla, and they could have been kind of right. But I don't know. Elon Musk was like a driver, and he really pushed the company over. And he's going to take over. Everybody knows he's going to take over like the whole addressable market of cars, or the EV market. So like, what is banking going to be like? Because I know in 10 years that JP Morgan, all these big established banks are going to be in the past. They're the old bookstores, you know? So like Amazon did to bookstores what SoFi potentially will do to banks. And that's nobody goes to an actual bank. And in the future, it's all going to be online, and it's going to be fast, and it's going to be really quick, and it's going to be easy, simple, and it's going to provide a bunch of security, or it's going to make you feel secure. Simple, secure, and fast. That's the future of banking. It's not going to be in these big banks where you call and they're like, oh, sorry, this overdraft fee is going to have to stay. You owe us money because you're poor.
I agree with you. And I think that's why a lot of investors invest in SoFi. It's the next level of the banking. One thing I actually wanted to pick your brain about. So something is coming up in June the 1st. I feel like a lot of people don't really are thinking about the student loans. Would you like to discuss that?
Yeah, sure. So like June 1st, once a year, I think I'm going to be so wrong about this if somebody knows more than me, but like on June 1st, once a year, the federal government looks at the student loans in the US, and they change the rate, or they have a discussion on changing the rate. These are very in such certain times. The government is changing a lot of numbers in the market right now. There is a possible chance that they increase the student loan rates, and then the student loan moratorium ends pretty soon. Or maybe it doesn't, but they do change the rates anyway. And so whenever the student loan moratorium ends, it's a possibility that student loans have a higher rate, and people are going to want to look to refinance. So that's another catalyst that's coming up that nobody's talking about. And I think it could be very interesting, because right now, SoFi does make a lot of money from loans. They're getting away from it quickly. They're growing rapidly, but they make a lot of money from loans, and it could be a big catalyst.
Yeah, no, big time. And as of right now, I believe it's up until August the 1st, right? For the extension on the student loan, I believe.
I don't even know, dude. It's going to be 2023 if you ask me. I don't. I have no idea, man. This guy, they're kicking the ball down, like they're kicking the ball down the street, and I don't know. I just have no confidence anymore that it's going to come anytime soon, because I was ready in February. I was ready, and they pushed it down even further.
Even their recent earnings, though, it showed that they can make a lot of money and do a lot of things, and you don't need that. So even taking that aspect out of the business, as much as it's a lost revenue, it shows that we don't necessarily need it at the end. Some people might disagree. Obviously, it's throwing away free revenue, but still, I think we're doing a lot of other things that will significantly benefit SoFi.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't focus on the loans, because we've proven 2 quarters that it would be great to need it, but we don't necessarily need it. So it's not a thesis killer at the moment. It's actually a thesis multiplier. Any day now, randomly, SoFi could just start making way much more money, and it's going to happen sooner or later. We all know it. Why is that not a catalyst? Like, people are looking at it the wrong way. This is all of a sudden, one day SoFi is going to start making a lot of money for free.
One final thing before we cap this off. It's a little bit more of a speculative topic, but I think it's still a topic that needs to be addressed, because it's still, I don't believe people fully understand, which we might disagree as well. We've never really pre-talked about this, but about the reverse split. And you kind of tentatively talked about it before we got on, but what is your interpretation of that? Because clearly there's a lot of people out there that literally thinks that's going to destroy SoFi, whereas you get the opposite. You think it's going to be the saving grace. Like, what's your take?
Yeah. So not a lot of people know, but so what happened right after Q1? We blew out earnings. It was all good news. But the day after, they released the schedule for Q2 earnings and like when it's going to happen. And there's also 5 things to vote on. The number 5 thing at the very bottom of the list is whether or not SoFi, Anthony Noto and the board should have the ability or the powers to enact a reverse split at their discretion. So everybody, of course, forgot all of what that just said and just focused on reverse split and said, oh no, SoFi is going to commit a reverse split. These guys are idiots. They're so dumb. It's going to destroy the stock. It's going to go to zero. This is fraud. Like there's so many negative news. There's so much negative news on Twitter about this reverse stock that it blows my mind. But I looked at it. It worried me for a bit, but like, if you're worried this low in the market, you're going to make some dumb decisions. So I focused on it. I read about it, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think Anthony Noto has more skin than all of us combined in this company. He's still going to snap his neck out pretty far. And I don't think he wants SoFi to go to zero. So if I gave him the power to have more options to run his company, I think he's going to make the right choice. He's going to use the tools wisely. So I'm going to vote yes, by the way, whenever this earnings comes out, I'm going to be voting yes. I'm going to give Anthony Noto the right to be able to do whatever he wants with the company he's built.
Yeah, I think my interpretation of that is I did do a video on it where oddly enough, I actually did a video on that for SoFi one day before that actually came out. I did it on the 11th. I don't know how, but it was getting close to a $5 mark, and I've been investing since around 2009. I think I've told you that. I've known in my experience, especially when Bank of America, I think in 2012, got close to that $5 mark, it was hysteria because I guess below $5, there's a lot of stipulation within a lot of investments that cannot hold penny stocks. Anything below $5 is penny stock. At least how I interpret this whole reverse stock split is if for any reason it does get close to that $5 mark, they can do a reverse split to keep it out of that, which even Bank of America back in 2012, they were talking about that, which again, just for a side note, there's roughly about 193 million shares of strategic institutions that hold SoFi. So potentially, if it goes below $5 for 10 consecutive days, they have to sell it. So imagine 193 million shares on a downwards. I don't think retail investors can save that. But on a side note, this is how I interpret that. There was obviously by doing that, it should be beneficial. And like you even mentioned, it's an option to do that.
And it's worked before. It's rare. It is a fair argument. Most companies that enact a reverse split tend to do poorly shortly after for almost a couple of years. But I rather own a company that's alive. So there's that. Like there's an example, Priceline back in 2003 was like at $3. They did like a reverse split and went above 20. And now they're a $2,000 plus company. So BKNG, look it up. But I mean, it's worked before, but yeah, it's scary. And it is kind of crazy how close we are to going under, even though we're doing so great as a company. Like the company is growing really rapidly and in so many different areas. So yeah, no, it's scary. It really is. Like we're this close to becoming like a penny stock.
And it is interesting to hear kind of, especially if you're bored on like a late night, sometimes just listening to people on Twitter or even on Stock Twits about these conspiracies about, there was an interesting one that Bank of America, a lot of the big banks are purposefully trying to take down SoFi to below that $5 mark just to destroy it or potentially even just buy it back at around $5. So it was just interesting to hear about all of that. But again, that's my own 2 cents. If you guys, for any reason, think that contradicts to what I mentioned or even Riley said, let us know in the description below. happy to hear your viewpoint on all of this. But like I said, this is a little bit more and has been a little bit more of a touchy subject. I don't think there's any reason to divide. And it comes down to exactly what Riley said is if you believe and trust Anthony or not. It's plain and simple.
Yeah, I know. I really agree with that. This is the time where you're a loser or you're a winner. You gotta the stock market's not gonna take any survivors. So just put your head in the sand. That's my advice. Pick a company you love and just turn your head off. Don't look at the news. Don't do anything. I know people that sold Amazon in 2008 and they regret it. So that sticks in my mind every day.
Yeah, no, big time. Well, Riley, I appreciate you coming on. Make sure you guys do pop over to Riley on Twitter, link in the description below. Like I said, very big part of the SoFi community, and he's on point with all of his information. So he's definitely the man to follow big time. But Riley, thanks for popping on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And also, on a side note, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe and do all of that fun stuff. But thanks for watching, guys.